Opinionated and now caffeinated. Wake Up Warchant is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed, Courtney, and their son, Brett, DeLuna Coffee is Florida State through and through. The pursuit of the perfect blend of coffee beans is a 365-day effort for the family, but they'll always find time to tailgate for their Noles in the autumn. Stand at attention for their red, white, and brew. In honor of armed forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, DeLuna has created this fair trade organic blend. Enjoy this premium French roast coffee and salute to the good old USA. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
and Corey Clark.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant. It's fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Promo code WARCHANT15 saves you on all their varieties of blended coffee over at DeLunaCoffee.com. Their beans are the best. Their grinds are the best. Almost like WARCHANT.com, bringing you the best. WARCHANT.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code WARCHANT30. Use that. Float it along. Give it to somebody as like the beginning of their Christmas gift, the gift that keeps on giving, WARCHANT.com. Give it to some DeLuna as well in the stocking. We're here to help people, Corey. We're here to help them. Christmas presents, entertainment, information, maybe not as much information as they want. Probably could have told you on Wednesday, hey, we haven't seen Jordan Travis practice on Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably not going to play. Probably why Chuba Purdy decided to leave. We didn't tell you that. I'm sorry. I should say it. I should just say it, Corey. I should say it all. Kick me out of practice. Come at me, Mike. Come at me.
Nope, you don't need to do that. They let us watch practice, but the part of the reason they do that is because you don't give away secrets, man. You can't do that. Yeah. You can make it known that it could be iffy, but you can't do that. It's not on you. You can't. You don't get the permission to do that because Ira likes watching practice too much.
He does. My goodness, he's watched every period of every practice here, inside, outside, Jacksonville. It's unbelievable. And he's somehow a father and a devoted father, or
right.
He's a husband and a devoted father. It's incredible. I don't know how he does it all. He doesn't sleep. Worried about him a little bit.
So in that, but also, like, just because he didn't practice on Wednesday doesn't mean for sure he couldn't be good by Saturday. And I think that's what they were hoping for is that, yeah, obviously he ain't practicing. This isn't great. It's ripping through our team. But there were other guys that were out there that didn't practice on Tuesday or Wednesday that played on Saturday. So just because they didn't practice doesn't mean he's not going to play, but he didn't play. And when Jordan Travis doesn't play, you guys see what this offense looks like. Now, does that mean that the coaches don't deserve blame? I mean, what was that game plan in the first half? What was it? It was as if they just went through the Jordan Travis game plan. Like, hey, we're going to keep running the zone read with a one-legged quarterback that can't move, and they know he won't move. So Jashawn Corbin's going to be dodging dudes 3 and 4 yards down in the backfield. Like, it just the second half where they just getting 4 and 5 wide and say, man, go for it. This is what we're doing. We're throwing almost every down, and when we don't, it's a straight handoff. It's not going to be this zone read nonsense because it ain't fooling anyone. They at least moved the ball a little bit. That first half was a disaster. They hit one play. They had 78 yards and 3 first downs. And what bothers me about it, and I'm not mad about the loss necessarily. I'm not mad about the loss, and we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to the overarching look at the program and what that game meant. But specifically, if we just want to go into like an offensive game plan, what was it in the first half, Aslan? Like, did it look any – I mean, they were running – it looked like they were running the same types of plays they ran with Jordan Travis. RPOs, zone reads, where Milton's holding it and then giving it off to the – I mean, they know he's not going to run the ball. They want him to run the ball. They're begging him to run the ball. They know he's not going to run the ball, and you still – it's like the second half, they were like, you know what? Why don't we let McKenzie do what he does best, get him in 4 and 5 wide, and just throw it all over the place? Now, look, there's only a ceiling to that, too, because he can't throw it very far anymore, and you don't have any good receivers. Or you don't have very good receivers. You got some guys that maybe will be something sometime. But at any rate, I don't understand that first half game plan. It was ridiculous. But what are you going to do when you're starting? I mean, that's the difference that Jordan Travis makes. He completely changes the way they call the game in the second half, but it completely changes the way NC State would have defended Florida State. There is no way they crash like they did if 13's back there. But he wasn't, and it didn't seem like Florida State coaches made any adjustments to that fact until they were down 14-0 at halftime.
Yeah, I don't know if they win that game. If he plays, they look better, I'm sure. Hard to imagine them looking worse. But I guess that's sort of where I'm at. And I picked NC State to win the game because, again, didn't think Travis was going to play based on the fact that when we were out there Tuesday and Wednesday, he was not able to be available. So it wasn't all that big of a surprise to me. But it's, again, man, it's the preseason prediction. Oh, they're going to go 6-6, maybe 7-5. But then when you live out those losses and you see the way they happen, maybe to your point, that first half game plan, like what is the deal? It's just, I don't know, North Carolina is their elixir. I've just had so many misplaced hopes and aspirations of this team and this program coming off wins against North Carolina, and they've quickly vanished and vanquished all hope. I guess the hope obviously is you beat Miami now. Florida is struggling mightily. They too were dealing with, they were calling it a head cold, I think, in the fourth quarter of their broadcast. I think they said flu at some point, but then they transitioned to calling it a head cold. So they were sick as well, and they got trounced by a mediocre South Carolina team. So I guess we could be in a worse place. But just to see it play out, like you said, the first half game plan, what's going on there, defense not tackling. I don't think the defense played particularly bad. I'm not saying let's go ahead and tender Adam Fuller a contract extension either. There's a middle ground to these sort of things, a bit of nuance. I'm not good at eloquently talking about the nuance, but the defense did their job enough. And then you just do some bizarre decisions in game. Onside kick, loved it. And I'm not that guy that when it doesn't work, I'm like, that's terrible. And if it works, I'm like, oh, I love it. I kind of have my mind made up when these things happen. Like when you line up for the fourth down, when they line up for the fourth down against Notre Dame, I'm like, I don't like this. Even if they get it, I still think it's the wrong idea. And they didn't get it. And then in the fourth down play in second half against NC State, it felt like you kind of clawed your way back. This defense isn't the 85 Bears, not the 2001 Ravens or the 2000 Ravens. But at that point, it just sort of felt like, I don't know, maybe pin them back. You don't have to get it 3 and out. Maybe on the second sequence, you're able to force a punt. You have a little bit better field position, and then you can get something going. And I understand they had no offensive momentum at any point really in that game up until those two sort of drives in the third quarter. So you felt, okay, we just got 40 yards. We got off our own goal line. We're moving. Let's keep this thing rolling. But you couldn't even get anybody. You couldn't even scheme anybody open on 4th and 3? Or was it 4th and 5?
4th and 4, right in the middle there. Right in the middle, buddy.
I mean, you couldn't even scheme anybody open. And nobody could get themselves open against a good defense. But they're not the 85 Bears either. So, it's all these things where I thought they turned a corner. Not that you're supposed to go and win NC State, but it just wasn't really competitive. Other than, again, like there was like a 5-minute window there in the third quarter when they got a couple touchdowns, and the team does get momentum in these games. And I clumsily kind of asked it to Norvell, but they had momentum in the Notre Dame game. They had momentum in the Jacksonville State game. Really, I don't want to call it momentum, but they were in control of that Jacksonville State game. They're 4th and goal, up 2 scores, or whatever they were up. And they throw a fade on 4th and 3 that totally just throws everything sideways. They did get momentum at the end of the Louisville game. I guess it kind of ran out of time. You had the lead against Clemson. You did get 2 good drives back-to-back against North Carolina State. They get these opportunities to seize hold of games, but they are never able, by and large, to then take control and win games. And I don't know what that says about the program, because they are fighting, Corey, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
I mean, I just don't know, like, when you're not a good team, why would you think that you would, beat good teams?
Well, Purdue's not a good team. They just beat number 3 Michigan State. Like, why is that? Why can't that happen to Florida State?
My point, I guess, was like you said it wasn't a competitive game. It was a highly competitive game. It was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter without your quarterback, and you were driving. Now, I don't know how much more competitive you would want a game to be other than winning the game. But my point being, it's 2 weeks in a row where they've faced a good defense, and they just don't have the personnel, especially this game, because they didn't have the mobile quarterback, to deal with it. there's only a ceiling you have when you're throwing to Pokey Wilson, who looked like he still had the flu, and Keyshawn Helton on deep passes. Keyshawn made some great catches in that game, but he's Keyshawn Helton. He's not a first-round pick. And Mackenzie Milton can't throw the ball very far, and he can't move. Like, there's only so much you can do, and that's why I hesitate in judging this game as some referendum on where the program is going. Because look, man, they might not have beaten NC State anyway, but a flu-ravaged week without your starting quarterback made it really, really hard. And so that's why it's like, I don't know that momentum has been lost. To me, it was like I feel like I do after the Syracuse game. They played 2 back-to-back close games where if they make some plays down the stretch, maybe they win the game. But they didn't. But did they play any worse in this one than they did against Syracuse? The defense I thought played better. The defense played better, man. NC State scores 30 on everyone. And they would have scored 40 on Miami if that kid could catch. I mean, they went up and down the field on everyone. And you held them to 28, and if, you can't say if, but your guys couldn't tackle, and you gave them 2 touchdowns. I thought the defense for kept them in the game. I mean, think about only giving up 14 points and a half to NC State, where your offense goes 7 straight drives without doing anything. Like, the defense was on the field the whole first half, and still only give up 2 touchdowns. Like, it's something. It's not something you want to beat your chest about, but it is something. And I just think, man, I think when you look at a 3-game winning streak followed by a tough loss at Clemson and then a whole week of the flu where your quarterback is out, it's like, well, what were y'all expecting? You just said, like, what if you'd have known for sure Jordan Travis wasn't playing and Mackenzie Milton was going to complete 22 of 44 for whatever he did, and you didn't win the turnover battle because I guess you didn't turn the ball over either, did you? And you just had this stupid Hail Mary. Like, you would have thought they would have lost by 4 touchdowns.
No, Milton threw a pick.
Yeah, that's right. So you tied you didn't win the turnover battle. Right. In fact, that was a bad pick. That gave them the ball in your own territory, already down. I wouldn't have thought you on Saturday morning would have said, yeah, they got a chance to win this one. You'd have been like, no, they're going to lose and probably lose badly. But you wouldn't have thought. I don't think you would have thought they'd been in the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to go tie it. So again, you don't want to pat yourself on the back. It's not a moral victory. I'm not coming close to claiming that. But it's kind of what you expect when you don't have a very good team, talent-wise. You're playing a better team, talent-wise. You don't have your best player on offense. And who knows how many of your guys were actually impacted by the flu that actually played. But you weren't at full strength. You weren't close to full strength. And you still at least pushed them to the final 7 minutes of that game. That's something. That's something. They didn't roll over. They didn't look like Florida and Columbia. I think that's something.
Is that your sarcasm or is that sincerity?
No, that's legitimately being sincere. Like, you saw in Columbia what a team looks like that's just straight up quit and that doesn't have any fight in it. Whether we're playing with a head colds or the flu or whatever. This team had every excuse in the world to be like, man, we're done. Our quarterback's not here. This kid can't play anymore. We love him. He's a leader, but he just can't play the position. Our coaches even let us down with this ridiculous game plan to start the first half. And yet here we are. We found a way. We've got the ball at our own 43-yard line with a chance to go tie the game with 8 minutes left against a good team, like a 10-win team perhaps. They might be the Atlantic Division champs. And you were within a touchdown. Like, I don't know what people were expecting. Like, this week, I'm not talking about, like, being happy that my man is 6-15 overall in his coaching career. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about when you're looking for this particular week, you got dealt an awful break. I think you win that game with Jordan Travis. I do. Because I think that defense, I certainly think you have more than 0 in the first half. And I don't know. Maybe there's a throw or a play where McKenzie makes that Jordan doesn't make, but it just.
I don't know if Jordan makes that throw to Keyshawn for the touchdown.
Yeah, but he might not need to because you're not doing all that dipsy-do nonsense. You're just like running.
Because he's a very fundamentally sound quarterback that just takes good dropbacks and scans the field.
Man. Hey.
I'm saying
you're running your offense.
You're as critical.
You're running
of
your
McKenzie
offense
as
if Jordan Travis is there. If Jordan Travis is there, you're just running your offense. Your offense is not to throw the ball 44 times.
It's 2021. How do you not have that as a possibility with this guy that's on your roster and you haven't had the other quarterback available all week?
No, I get that. We're arguing two different things. My point is, with Jordan Travis is playing, you throw the ball 17 times and you run for over 200 yards because you do that against everyone. Okay. But you don't do it when Mackenzie Milton's playing. They take that away. So my man throws 44 times. This team is not built out wide and up front, although I thought they pass protected pretty well for the most part. But out wide with missing their two best guards.
When they weren't snapping terribly.
Oh, my gosh, those snaps were awful. And by the way, he does work on them on the sidelines. I did watch after one of those series. He did go back, Maurice Smith, and was just snapping to a GA for like 5 minutes. So he's working on it in the middle of a game. But, it's the whole offense changed. And you're not equipped to beat good teams throwing the ball 44 times. You might be 2 years from now, maybe with a different quarterback, maybe with much better receivers. But right now, you've patterned your whole season off the read option. You've got two running backs who are largely non-existent in this game. They just took away everything. Without Jordan Travis, Trayshawn Ward might as well not even suited up.
Like, how do you let Chuba leave? I know that's like a whole other topic.
That's a whole different thing. But that's my point is when I say Jordan, I think Jordan Travis just changes how they have to defend you. And it looks different. Right. Maybe they still only score 14 points. I highly doubt that. But maybe they do. But you're more comfortable running the ball, running those plays. You get your running backs involved. They're your two best playmakers. And Jordan Travis is your third best playmaker. Or those are your top three. And none of them were a factor at all in that game because NC State knew they couldn't be. They knew that the zone read was nonsense. It wasn't going to work. So that's why I think Jordan Travis matters. And then in the first half, again, your defense isn't on the field for 2/3 of the half because your offense does diddly poo. But we'll see. Hopefully he's back this week, buddy, when they have to face Testaverde in Miami. Big win for those guys.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that game. They're at home and they barely scraped by Georgia Tech. They're a 3-point favorite as of the recording of the show, Miami. I wonder when's the last time that happened, where Miami came into this stadium as a favorite.
You don't think it was last time? 19?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. That was probably a pick 'em.
We don't want to go back to 19 if we're trying to be like, well, we're better than the 19 team. Well, I hope so. We did a really bold thing after that game, so here we are. But, yeah, looking at those first drives in the first half, there wasn't, I don't think it was a gross incompetence of play calling. It goes back to there's just so many layers to it. Like, I'm really not all that upset. I feel like I have to be the voice of the people because I do see a lot of rage out there, but I'm really not all that upset. Again, I picked North Carolina State to win the game, but when you see it play out the way it does, it just becomes frustrating. I remember when you and I were in Clemson in 19, and you were talking about you felt after because they'd strung together, I think, 3 wins maybe. Like they'd beaten Syracuse and North Carolina State and I think Louisville. And they go into that Clemson game, it all kind of comes crashing down again, and you're back to earth, and you know just how far you are from the top. And you made a kind of comment about, listen, they just got to get back to being like the second best team in the Atlantic. Like you're not going to beat Clemson, and they're lapping you. Just get back to being the second best team in the Atlantic. And they're far from that now, Corey. They feel almost just as far after that game. Again, and I'm so week to week on this show. I know it probably drives some of you crazy, but that's just, I'm going off the latest data. You want me to be analytical? I'm taking the latest data on this. But, man, they're not close to North Carolina State. Switch quarterbacks, they still lose to North Carolina State. I don't think they beat North Carolina State with Jordan Travis. And all the things I
just don't know how you say they're not close to them. They were in a one-possession game in the fourth quarter without their starting quarterback.
They were without
last
5
year
starters
they were down.
on defense.
Last year they were down
though.
28-3.
I'm just saying they're without 5 starters on their defense, North Carolina State, and they clamped down Florida State. So we can use the flu. They can't use the fact that they're down 5 defensive starters. Like all these things come out in the wash.
Cyrus Fagan wasn't a starter. He got rotation minutes. He wasn't a starter. Now they were down 2 of their best players for sure. But that clearly didn't matter with that guy. Man, look. How many
we
points
talk about
McKenzie...
they're battered and beat up on the offensive line. So's Clemson. So's every other team. It's November, man. No one's offensive line feels good right now.
But again, I guess, look, man, like the way I would say it is, what did McKenzie do against Jacksonville State? How many points he put up?
10?
Like 17, right? 17, one was a 53-yard field goal in the second half. That was it. Like, this is the limit.
Shout out to them. Their coach quit. He resigned.
Right.
Jacksonville State's coach resigned. Walk off.
That's like this is what your offense is. This is your ceiling with that kid at quarterback. I know that's awful to hear, that's awful to say, but it is. You are not going to score a lot of points against any competent defense at any level, except maybe UMass, with that kid at quarterback.
He got fired.
Yeah, Walt Bell got fired. He got the one win, though. He got 2 wins, right, in his career?
No,
right?
I don't think so. I think
thought
that
he won a game last year, did he not? Okay, so that was his only one. Oh, hey, Walt, nice knowing you, buddy. Good luck. He could be an OC somewhere, I guess.
Logan, Utah is beautiful this time of year. I'm sure he'll go to Utah State
Sure.
as mentors there.
So, like, that's why when looking at this game, it's like, well, yeah, man, of course. No, Florida State isn't close. They aren't the second best team in the Atlantic. But I don't look at a team that's in a free fall. I don't look at a team and say, good Lord, they have no chance.
I agree with that.
They've lost 6 games. I'm trying to remember. I think all of them. Maybe you could say the Wake Forest game. The Wake Forest game is the only game they lost where they didn't have it wasn't a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. So I kind of look at it like Nebraska. Like, would you look at Nebraska right now and be like, good Lord, he's terrible. He is a terrible football coach and they have no chance. Like, They keep losing these games, and the losses matter. They're what matter more than anything.
They're 20 years removed from their greatness, though. Florida State's 6
No,
years.
but we're right. But again, like when you're looking at the building of a program, and you're looking at Nebraska being like, well, they're not. How far off are they really? Are we just going solely on the wins and losses? And I know that's fair to do it because losing sucks. I hate talking about a 3-6 football team. It's the second year in a row I've had to do it, and it feels like the 10th year in a row. But when you look at the overall the team, you're like, okay, well, they're not plummeting. They're not that far off from being, I don't know, 7 wins, like a 7, not 7 wins right now, but 7 wins at the end of the year. Like I said, they've lost 6 games. 5 of them were a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. So it's not like, you got to play situationally better. You might not want to be 2 for 18 on third down. And I'm just going to say this. Almost every game they've lost in the fourth quarter, Mackenzie Milton was the quarterback. I'm sure he's done great for the quarterback room, and he tries his best. He is not good for this offense. This offense does not move with him. It can't. He just isn't the kid he was. It's sad. It's awesome that he gets another year to play football, but every time he's playing in the fourth quarter of a game, they've lost. So you do with that what you will. You have to upgrade the quarterback position. You got to upgrade everywhere. And when Jordan Travis is in the game in the fourth quarter of a close game, they found ways to win. So is it as simple as that?
Twice.
Is it as simple as that?
And UMass. So, I saw the column draft, no Travis, no chance, and then they scored 2 touchdowns. I'm like, I think Corey might actually have to change the headline on this column.
I was thinking, but then it played out just like I thought. Like, you can do that for you recover an onside kick. You can go 50 yards. There's no big plays. None with Mackenzie Milton as the quarterback. None. They just, they know they can cover your receivers one-on-one, and they know their front 7 will handle your running game. And there just aren't any real chances for big plays. It's just a whole different offense, and it's hard to – and here's the thing, though. The coaches don't get a pass. Again, we're week – what is that? That was the 9th game of the season. Yeah, and 10. When your backup quarterback, when your starting quarterback goes down, you just kind of, for a half, you just throw up your hands. Well, we're trying. Nothing we can do. They're just too good.
Well, they did. Like, the first drive of the game, they had Malik McClain on a crossing route where if he would have kept running the drag across the field, he probably could have cut up and got 8-9 yards, maybe close to a first down. I don't know if you think about going at that point. But there's no downfield blocking, and their safety, who's a 3-star from Orlando, comes screaming down and wraps him up. No chance of getting a first down. Like they were in a tough predicament, 3rd and long. They did draw up a decent play, but no one could block it up to get him open. Second drive, you go bad snap. You have Pokey at the chains. The throw gets there. He gets bumped from behind.
Yeah, that's a bad missed call. That's an importantly bad missed call right there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's so much pass interference or just, hey, man, outman the other guy.
It was pass interference, but you're also allowed to go make that play. And he just got bumped completely out of the way and couldn't catch it. Yeah. He did not have a good game. They kept throwing to him, and it didn't work out. Third
drive of the game, Corbin gets through the first level. Brady Scott, bless his heart, is pulling and does his job. Robert Scott's pulling, does his job. there is a hole. He's got one guy to beat in the hole, and then he's probably gone for a 20, 25-yard gain. It's that same safety. He comes from like the offside. I mean, he's lined up at the bottom of your screen between the numbers and the hash and makes a tackle on the opposite hash. And like, you just run through him, man. Be more of a dude. Again, maybe you're sick. All right, you got the flu. They don't have the flu. Third drive, that was a third drive. Fourth drive, you should have a decent field position. They're punting to you, but you trip on the punt backtracking.
Yeah. Right.
Then they go into read option. I understand they don't have the horses. When is the cavalry coming then? That's the problem.
The hope is the off season, right? You know,
I mean, look, I don't know how many. Go ahead.
I think what we're talking about, and look, man, Dillingham is not out of like he's allowed to be criticized, and I hope I have, because that was ridiculous what happened in the first half. It's pretty ridiculous that they went 14 straight drives without a point, and half of those were with Jordan Travis. Now it was against Clemson, but Clemson isn't an immovable object, and they didn't even cross midfield in the second half against Clemson. And then and also they got Toafili hurt on that ridiculous play to end the game. That was awesome, great. You could have used him probably in this one. And then this week, your first 7 drives in with nothing. I think you got into past midfield once, and then you immediately had a 3-yard loss, and then your quarterback gets sacked because he can't move. So it's like he deserves criticism too. There's no excuse to be as poor as they were for those 4 straight quarters. They went 4 straight quarters without a point. They went 4 straight quarters where they only crossed midfield once. I don't care if you're coaching Brady's age kids. You should be able to figure out something, and they didn't. Maybe Dillingham had the flu, and couldn't really work this week. I don't know. I really don't. But so they aren't above criticism. They should be criticized because they have enough talent to move the ball in these teams. Clearly, because they did later in the game. But overall, yeah, man, you got to get players in here. You have to. Like, you look at that game on Saturday, and it's like, man, NC State looked like they just had better players, especially on offense. They got receivers that go make plays. They got running backs that they got out in space. They also designed plays to get their running backs out in space where, hey, you got a one-on-one with Akeem Dent. We've won this battle. We've won this play. I didn't see a lot of that from Florida State. Didn't see a lot of great plays where dudes were just running wide open. But also, Florida State doesn't have, weirdly, they do not have the offensive skill power of NC State. They certainly don't have the quarterback that NC State has. So, yeah, the cavalry needs to come. But it's not like they're embarrassing themselves. And I know that's a really low bar to clear. But, man, it's not 2014 anymore. We've all been watching this program melt into madness. And now, at least, there's a baseline where they are going to play their asses off. So now get better players to play like that and get these guys to improve. And then you go from a 4-win team, a 3-win team, a 4-win team to a 7-win team. And then you restock the cavalry with some more players. And then maybe you're to a 10-win team. It's not as quick as we wanted it. And I'm not excusing these guys for this horrible record, but they don't have a great roster, man. And they are better than they were last year. Like I said, last year they played NC State with a backup quarterback. They were down 28-3 to Bailey Hockman. That's something. That's something. They're better. They're playing these teams closer, which means next year, Aslan, the worm turns, they start beating these teams. And then everybody's going to be going, oh, God, here come the Noles. Here come the Noles. 2022. It's going to be like, well, I was going to say Michigan State, but then they lost to Purdue.
Folks, you feel like the last one out when it comes to sports betting, you don't really know where to start. There's a lot of information to digest. You got to understand where the market's moving, where the smart bets are, and also maybe have some fun while you're getting your information. BetQL Daily, sponsored by FanDuel, is that show for sports bettors and sports fans alike. Hosts Joe Ostrowski, Joe Giglio, and Aaron Hawksworth serve up wagertainment. In the TV business, we call it infotainment. Like, we want to inform you and entertain you. But wagertainment is a sports talk that you'll love with betting insights you need each weekday. Find out where the market is moving across all the week's biggest sporting events. Again, Miami right now, 3-point favorite. That's when NC State was favored. Maybe there's some symmetry there. Maybe not. Miss out on earlier games? BetQL Daily has you covered there, too, with recaps from some of the biggest recent moments in sports. If you're not sure where to start with sports betting, start with BetQL Daily, presented by FanDuel. Listen weekdays 9 a.m. to noon Eastern on Odyssey. Remember, that's like Audacity without the IT. Spotify, which we're on. So's Jeff. So's Seminole Headlines. Or your favorite podcast app.
Hey, let's. I wanted to address the defense though, because what'd you think about that? What'd you think about the defense overall?
I like them. I don't think they can't tackle. I don't know how that's Adam Fuller's fault. Again, man, if he gets fired, if Kenny gets fired and Adam gets fired, I'm not going to be sad. And I'm not trying to sound obtuse and rude about it. I mean, life goes on. It sucks. They've got families. You got to relocate. I understand that. They're real human beings. I totally get that. But I am not advocating and saying that anybody is doing anything that deserves additional benefit of the doubt, additional job security here at Florida State. But the defense mostly is in position to make plays. These guys don't turn their head around. Now, that's been a problem for like 4 or 5 years now. It's been a Charles Kelly problem. It's been a Harlan Barnett problem. It's been a Adam Fuller problem. They can't tackle. It's absurd. Like the first touchdown, you got beat. That's okay. That's not okay, but don't mitigate it. Mitigate the bad stuff, but they throw fuel on their errors, it seems like. But no, I thought the defense, in this day and age, man, you hold the team at 28 points. I know it's 400 yards. That's still a lot. But again, man, I don't really even know if they win with Jordan Travis. I don't know if Jordan Travis scores 31 on them. I still think maybe they don't score 28 because the defense isn't on the field and put in such tough situations all the time. But yeah, this is like a total team loss to me. But the defense doesn't carry any additional onus or burden. I mean, I think the offense obviously carries more of a burden than anybody. But no, I'm the defensive line. Ira said it after you guys got done recording the wrap. That's a good defensive line. That could be a starting front four for a 9-10 win team.
Yep.
But everything else behind them is not nearly as good caliber.
I mean, it could be the starting front four for NC State. Honestly, I think it's as good as NC State's front four. Maybe better. I don't know. But I will say this. I don't even know if we can say they can't tackle. It was two dudes that couldn't tackle, and they were huge missed tackles. Like, I don't know what happened. We'll get to talk to Fuller later on today, so we can ask him about that first touchdown. It looked to me like Jarian Jones thought Akeem Dent was going to be his safety help in the middle of the field and kind of funneled him there. Otherwise, I just don't understand how you let a guy run right by you like that. But your point is valid because, yeah, okay, he caught the ball. Bring him down. If you bring him down when he catches it, like every Florida State receiver ever happens on a long pass, they get brought down immediately. You got the ball. They got 1st and 10 at the 20, and it gets pretty hard to score inside the red zone, especially against your defense. You're pretty good in the red zone. So just bring them down. And it's the Akeem Dent thing, man. I don't know. I was surprised he went back out there after that effort on the screen pass. Like, look, the screen pass was a good call against a bad coverage, so it was already off for 20 to 25 yards. But then you can mitigate the mistake by actually making a play, and it didn't look like he had any interest in – like I've never seen an attempted tackle like that. He just kind of shouldered him, but not like even like a huge – like he wasn't even trying for like a death blow. It was just as if he thought the guy was going to – I don't know what he thought the guy was going to do. Like, hey, I'm here, fall down. And the guy just kept going. Like, no, I'm good. That's your tackle effort? Okay, this is a touchdown. But yeah, and then the Jarian Jones went on the last touchdown. I don't even give – it's not like Fuller brought a blitz against the screen pass. He had it diagnosed pretty well. His cornerback just can't even slow the kid down or push him out of bounds. And then Akeem Dent's over there getting pancaked by a lineman somehow that he found. And then I blame those two big plays really on the players. And I know that's not the right thing to do. I mean, we all want fire with the coaches.
How dare you, Corey? How dare you blame the players?
But, I mean, they were there to make the plays. And you said 400 yards is a lot. It's not. In 2021 college football, 400 yards, I guarantee NC State averages more than that. That was below their average.
No, they do. Yeah, they do.
So the defense did just fine. And I thought they tackled well in the front seven really well. I think their longest run was 12 yards, 9 yards. Might have been 18. Their longest rush from a running back. Yeah. When was that? They had an 18-yarder? Was that in the fourth quarter maybe? I don't know. I remember looking at some point that their longest run was like 9 yards. And Florida State's longest run was a Milton run, which tells you everything you need to know about how that game was going. But I thought the front seven tackled well, played well. And I thought I don't even remember seeing Brownlee I don't remember, other than that play where Keir Thomas, great play, by the way, to fake like you're hurt. That's an all-timer.
That's a
That
championship
is a heady
caliber
play, man. That is a heady play.
Where's Jay from Daytona Beach? There's your situational awareness.
It's good to see somebody have that kind of situational awareness. Like, it's good to see that somebody on the team thinks like that. You'd like the coaches to tell one of them to go down. But Keir Thomas did it on his own, and then it ended up not being a catch. That was a big third down. That's the only time I remember Jarvis Brownlee even be around to play. Like, so I think he played pretty well. I think Deloach played well. I thought the linebackers as a whole, at least tackled well. You got limitations, man, when you're trying to guard, when Lundy's trying to cover crossing routes. That's not his bag. But overall, yeah, man, if you'd have told me before the game that NC State would get 28 points and 400 yards, I'd be like, yep, that sounds like Florida State did okay. And they should have a chance to win. But the offense was the offense. Yeah, so, yeah, it wasn't great. It's not like I'm saying they dominated. They deserve a lot of accolades for the way they played, but they were put in a terrible position by the offense in the first half, held them to 14 points, where I'm telling you last year, even earlier this year, I feel like it would have been 35-0. But they even after the interception, they got to stop. They forced a punt that I'm sure was downed at the 2. But they forced a punt. And that's just, man, that there's something there on that side of the ball, but they just aren't very good. They aren't a great defense. They aren't a good defense. But they're good enough if you have an elite offense or even a good offense, but you don't. And with Jordan Travis, it's anemic. Without Jordan Travis, it's anemic.
Again, this comes back to, I think we're talking about the Clemson game and, hey, they got worn down. Actually, I mean, I'm upset about the Clemson game. You were up that game with 5.5 minutes left and you had the ball. If you get 2 first downs and you punt the ball off them, you probably win. That's all you had to get to beat Clemson. They couldn't do it. But again, we talked about the fact that we hadn't seen anything, and we still haven't probably seen anything from the staff that makes you think if they had a better roster, if they had NC State's roster, they would still be 3-6. At the same time, we haven't seen anything from them that makes you believe that if they do get really good players, that they're somehow going to be able to get back to the standard around here of, winning 11 to 13 games and going to New Year's Six bowls and things like that, 10 to 13 games. I don't know. Like, if you gave Mike Norvell and this staff the North Carolina State roster, they're probably 7-2. Maybe they're 6-3. But then it's like, all right, so we're comparing ourselves to Dave Dorn and NC State. That's like the weird sort of.
Well, that's the reality, though, right? That's your next goal. I mean, Wake Forest is better than you right now. They're better than a lot of teams. Like, that's the goal right now. You can't just go from not being able to walk to sprinting in a marathon. Yeah, I know you don't sprint in marathons, guys. It's a terrible analogy. Hang with me. New York City Marathon on Sunday, by the way, an FSU alum finished second.
No kidding.
In the New York City Marathon. Yeah, she was a star runner here, too. And then she finished, I think she's originally from Kenya, and her brother was like a superstar marathoner. And I can't remember the last name. I wish I could. I apologize. But, so that's exciting. She finished second in the New York City Marathon. But right now, you're trying to crawl. And then eventually, so crawling to me is becoming NC State. Or maybe Louisville, And then you walk, and that's when you become the next in line, and then you run. Right now, they're crawling at least. They're not just sitting in their own feces in a crib like they were last year and the year before. They're at least out of the crib and crawling, trying to stand up, and it's not happening. Look, guys, there's been a lot of analogies on this show over the years. I feel like that might have been the best one. Aslan, yes or no?
That was really good.
Okay, thank you. Because they've been sitting in their own feces for a while. But I don't think they're doing that anymore. They're not an embarrassment. It's not a blank show like it would be if you were sitting in your own feces. By the way, did I ever tell you that story? Because the first year of Brady's life, I watched him. I was like the stay-at-home dad. I still worked, but when I would go interview Leonard and the basketball team, I'd bring Brady with me to the facility. But there was one time where it's probably the coolest moment of my life, really. I was changing his diaper, and the diaper fell to the ground, the new one. So I went to pick it up. I leaned down to pick it up, and I heard this noise behind me on the wall. Oh, no. And he had explosive diarrheaed all over the wall, right where my head had been mere a second and a half before. But because I dropped the diaper, I kneeled down to get the diaper, and it missed me completely. That's when you know you're living right. Because imagine that scene otherwise. It'd be a lot like this Florida State football team the last 3 years. But we're getting there. We're not doing that anymore. They're crawling. They just can't run yet. Maybe they'll hit a dead sprint here at the end of this year and beat their 2 rivals, which is very doable.
I just want everyone to know I really do disagree with most of everything Corey's been saying today, but he's just a better, more eloquent speaker than I am, so he's better able to verbalize the standpoint of things are okay, things are stabilized, things will get better, whereas I'm just very emotional right now and pointing to recent games and recent phenomenon of failure and saying this might be what we're going to have to deal with. So, but Corey, you win this. We can keep arguing
Thanks,
about this for
buddy.
20 minutes. You'll
Well,
continue to win.
I do believe.
But it's Viola Cheptu, by the way, is the alumna who ran the New York City Marathon. Her brother is Bernard Lagat. So
There you go.
shout out
That's
to
right.
them.
All
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah. There you go. Way to
And
look
shout
that
out
up,
to the Lady
Aslan.
Noles. I'm not supposed to say Lady Noles. The Florida State women's soccer team who won the ACC championship game for the title for the 8th time in 10 years. So we got them. We've got them.
I feel like every time they've been in it, they've won it. Like I feel like they're 8 for 8, which is crazy because the ACC, if you guys don't know, like they beat the number 1 team in the country, Virginia, to win the to win the ACC championship, and like they beat Wake Forest in the semifinals. Wake Forest is 6th in the country, and I'm sure. And I'm not even talking about North Carolina. Who knows where they are, but I bet they're pretty good. Like it's just the ACC is stocked with soccer teams, and the Florida State keeps running through it. And the only game they lost this year was when 2 of their best players were playing internationally somewhere. So yeah, Krikorian, man, he's the man. He's the best coach on campus, that's for sure. That program is just it's a buzzsaw. So now they turn their attention to a national championship. Aslan, we hope.
Speaking of, let's go to the good part of the show.
The clutch shot, the biggest hits. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good
Player of the Week.
It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week. Sometimes it's player, sometimes it's just play. I think it was originally supposed to be the play of the week, Corey. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go with the right answer. You got everything else right this show. Clara Robbins' goal against Virginia that gave Florida State the ACC championship game is the equivalent of a fallback jumper contested at midcourt pretty much. She scored from, I don't know, like 45 yards out.
It was crazy. Top corner over the keeper.
Beauty. Absolute ripper. Beautiful strike from Clara Robbins. And she's back-to-back ACC tournament MVP. So shout out to Clara Robbins and the Mark Krikorian and that entire team, man. We don't give them, and it's my fault, I steer the show, not nearly as much love as they deserve. Their 8th ACC championship over the last 11 seasons and their 9th shutout of the year. Corey, top that. How about Scotty Barnes suplexing somebody? That was pretty cool.
That was. I'm going to go with. I know it was in a loss, and I know he's not an incredible receiver. I don't care. I'm trying to find the positive, folks. I'll play that role for the next. Hopefully, I'll only have to do this for another 9 months. And then it'll be genuine. And I'm not saying it's not genuine. I do believe in the direction of this program, but I'm tired of losing too. Just know that. But they are better than they were last year. And then if they're better next year than they are this year, then that should equate to 7 wins. And then keep doing that until you're in a championship game. But I'm going to go with Keyshawn Helton. That catch he made in the right corner of the end zone says everything you know. Mackenzie Milton was perfect about it. Says everything you know about need to know about Keyshawn Helton. He's running a slot fade to the left corner. And then he sees Milton doing his spinny doos and sprints. How long is a football field? 53 yards?
Yeah.
All the way, width-wise, all the way to the other end zone, other corner of the end zone, and makes a diving catch. Just a great play by Milton, great throw. But Keyshawn Helton had the wherewithal to even do that, to sprint, so his quarterback could see him. That's my indescribably good player of the week.
Keyshawn Helton and Clara Robbins are Zaxby's indescribably good players and creating the play of the week. Hey, folks, if you want to get started in cryptocurrencies but you're not sure where to get started, you know where to go. Go to the App Store, get Kraken. The app, Kraken. With the app, you can buy and sell over 50 of the most popular cryptos like Bitcoin, like Dogecoin, like Ethereum, all on the go, palm of your hand, every single minute of every waking day. It's super easy to get started. Just download that app. You create an account, few questions, bing, bang, boom, and you can invest in minutes. And the great thing is, you don't need, this is like, Corey knows what the blackjack life is like. There's some tables out there that are like $100 minimums, $100 to play a hand. It's like, whoa, A little too rich for daddy's blood. But with the Kraken app, you can get started in investing in cryptocurrencies with as little as $10. So find out for yourself why Kraken has been one of the highest rated places to buy crypto for the last 10 years. Visit kraken.com/warchant now and learn more, or you can search Kraken in the App Store. Corey, one of the weirdest things I think from Saturday, I can't remember ever being in a post game where attention has sort of shifted to the next week's opponent so quickly. Maybe like once or twice covering a team going into the Egg Bowl, but I feel like they were probably playing like a lesser team, like an FCS team, so there wasn't a lot to talk about. Like, hey, next week, big game. What do you think about the Egg Bowl? For all the holding the Wolves at the gates that you're doing for us right now, Corey, which, by the way, I'm glad they're better than they were last year. They were 3-6. What a horrible sort of
well, and they were, again, though, they were awful. That was an awful 3-6 football team. This is a mediocre 3-6 football team. There's the difference. It's still 3-6, though.
But the attention shifted to Miami, whether it was the reporter from the Tampa Bay Times or Orlando Sentinel, even Ira, I think, asked about it. For as angry as I am right now, they beat Miami. We totally forget about most of this probably. We'll forget about most of it. I probably will. I'm that mercurial about these things, especially if they lose that game, if they beat Florida last week of the game.
There you go. Yeah, you're just looking for things, man. You're just looking for things. It wasn't great that Boston College looked to have a little life. By the way, so Virginia Tech, what's going on there? But Boston College might have found a little life on Friday with that win, so that's not as it was never a guarantee, but that's going to be a hard one. They're all hard, man, when you're not very good. Yeah. When you're a mediocre team, they're all hard.
Yeah, like sidebar, who is Virginia Tech, and why do you see all these hot seat articles out there, and and people that are going to be targeted for the jobs. Like Sonny Dykes, SMU, I think they've lost 2 games in a row now. He's Texas-born. His dad, Spike Dykes, big Texas Tech legend. And Texas Tech obviously fired their coach, and so that seems like the natural fit. But people are like, they're going to, Sonny Dykes is going to be on a target for them. Like, he's to go to Blacksburg, Virginia, a guy from Texas is going to pass up either staying in Dallas or going to Lubbock, where he's like born and bred, to go to Blacksburg, Virginia. I mean, like Frank. Hey man, Michael Vick was 22 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Otherwise, I don't know, every 3 years, 10 wins. Like, whoop-de-doo. Like, why is that job so – I get the DMV has got a lot of talent.
Well, Sonny Dykes, that's not a huge name. It's not like they said Kirby Smart.
I know, but to think that, Virginia Tech's going to jump – I mean, I don't know. That'd be like Mario Cristobal right now was not coaching like a lesser program than Oregon, but doing all right. Let's say if he was at FAU and they were 8-1 or something, and, Miami was coming after him. Like, well, hey, Virginia Tech is going to want Cristobal. It's like, all right, well, good luck, man. Good luck jumping in front of that relationship. But I digress. This Miami game is huge because, all right, if you're a Jordan Travis apologist, I'm not saying that Corey is, but the Clemson game, everybody's like, well, hey, man, what do you want him to do? That's a really good defense. It's Brett Venables. I think I would have really been curious to see how he looked against NC State because that's not Brett Venables, but that was a really good defense. And they were hurt, too, which is crazy to think about.
Well, and I just think you didn't have the dudes, because he wasn't there, you didn't have the ability to take advantage of where they were weaker, which was at linebacker, because you just, again, I know I'm reiterating the same thing I already said. It changes how they defend when they don't have to deal with the quarterback. I just think he makes 3 or 4 plays that change the complexion of that game. And I think he puts up 30. I might be wrong. I think he puts up 30. But he didn't play. He wasn't there. They lost. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But this Miami team is not nearly as gifted or sound fundamentally on defense as Clemson or North Carolina State is. So, again, this should be a primetime Jordan Travis 30 to 38 point outburst.
If it's not, it's a disappointment. If you can't put up 30 to 35 against this defense, you have not played well as an offense, and I'm going to say he didn't play well as a quarterback. Because you're right, this is the worst defense they face the rest of the way. It's the worst. I think it's as bad a defense as Carolina or close to it. It's a bad defense. So you should be able to move the ball and score points against them. It is not the challenge that you had to deal with these last 2 weeks.
And even beyond that, I think, again, we talk about fight and resiliency. I do think it's going to be a close game. It's a 3-point spread.
Sure.
I think it's going to be up and down. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be one of those whoever gets the ball last, scores last, is probably going to win the game. And then it's going to really be indicative, again, either that, yes, this team not so much like believes in their coach, but just believes in playing football at its maximum capacity for the entire duration of a football game. And if
I think that you don't think they do that. You
no,
don't
they
think
do.
they play hard. They don't play well.
Hard. They do play hard, but they don't want us to compliment them on playing hard. We were doing it 10 weeks into the season.
I'm. They don't play well from start to finish, but I do think they play hard. I think, and so I think the next step obviously is to play those situations well and to finish games like you were talking about. They get themselves in position. Now the next step is to finish. So if this game goes like we expect it to, like the odds makers do, and like every game this season has gone, it will be a one-score game in the fourth quarter. Will they make plays? Can they make plays in a close game in the fourth quarter? That's the next step these guys have to. That's the next thing they have to overcome. They don't get blown out anymore for the most part. Knock on wood. They don't get blown out anymore. They don't embarrass themselves by the middle of the second quarter. Now the next step is when you got a chance in the fourth quarter, go win a game. That's the next step to take. And that's what I'm interested in seeing, how they do against Miami, because I tell you what, that quarterback coming in there, and I know I give him all these goofy nicknames, that kid is cocky. He believes he's going to make plays when it matters, and so far he exactly has made plays when it matters. That guy knows he's going to score if the game is on the line in the fourth quarter. He believes it in all his heart. Do Florida State players? I don't know. I don't think so.
And crazy how he's a backup quarterback. And he's come in there and he's totally changed everything for them.
He looks like the first pick in the draft. Did you see that kid that got from Oklahoma set like a school record for receiving yards in a game on Saturday?
Oh, Charleston Rambo? Yeah.
Yeah, he had over 200.
I saw somebody like on the YouTube channel like, I think Rambo's going to be a problem. And it's like, yeah. Well, Thayer Thomas wasn't a problem. He was a problem last year.
He didn't do much of anything, did he?
Clamped him down.
Oh, Kevin Noles was like, not today, my man. Yeah. Sorry, Thayer. I don't know who you're used to playing against, but old Kevin Noles is saying, no, not today. I think he had like 1 or 2 catches.
But, again, man, this is a rivalry game. This is, again, I know Clemson's a rivalry game, but these ones are different. Miami and Florida are just different.
Yeah.
You are equally matched up with them.
Yep.
You're kind of equally in the same lurch. You're in the same – I mean, maybe Florida State's a little bit better position because it's only year 2 of Norvell as opposed to whatever this is, year 4 of Manny. But, like, you guys are in the same predicament. You're starting at the same spot, playing the same race with pretty much the same horses, man. So this does become this does become very much a sort of referendum on coaching. And I'm ready for one of those, man. Because, again, NC State, they're missing guys. They're missing their starting quarterback. Clemson, it's that stadium. It's that defensive coordinator. It's still a bunch of talented guys. All right, man. Well, here it is. Laid bare to flesh. Like, this game will tell us a lot. Good gosh, this guy's thrown for almost like 2,000 yards, and I don't even know how many games he's been playing. But, yeah, he's got 15 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah. No, he knows he's good. He believes he's good. I think he thrives, or he feels like he's going to thrive. He's never played in an environment like this will be. And I know it's not Notre Dame. I know it's not 2013. Doak ain't going to be full, but it'll be the biggest crowd he's played in front of by far, because I saw that Pitt game. It was more empty seats than full ones, even when they had their Heisman contender, quote unquote. So this will be an atmosphere he hasn't played in before, but I think he's a kid that truly believes he's built for this. Now you gotta try to convince him he's not. But yeah, you're right. I think they have a better quarterback. They have a better thrower. They have a better throwing offense, and it's not close. When you're healthy, you have a better running offense, and I think your defense is better. Not by much, very, very marginal, but I think your defense is better.
Well, it's
certainly
a matchup, though, right, though, Corey? Their Florida State's running defense is still stout, is still great. But, and listen, there was like the second drive of the game where I think NC State had a 2nd and 1. They ran a bunch formation, and their guys all did their jailbreak coming out of their break. And, like, Devin Leary had a guy wide open. Like, Florida State still did not pass off everybody well in traffic.
Right.
So, and coverage is still a problem, man. Again, I still don't think Florida State has a true cover corner. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Rambo. Maybe they're just going to double cover him, roll coverage his way. What that's going to mean, maybe Jalen Knighton is going to find his 4-star talent and he'll kind of prove things out. But matchup-wise, yeah, I mean, Florida State has a better defense than Miami. But Florida State's offense against Miami's defense, very good. I like that matchup, but I think Miami's offense against Florida State's defense, that's a little bit better of a situation if you're that offense.
We're about to wrap up the show, right?
Correct.
I wanted to go back to because we'll talk about Miami all.
I'm sorry, one last thing though. He is gunning for some sort of record that Jameis has. I think Jameis is like the only quarterback in ACC history that threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns or more in like 4 consecutive games, and this kid's done it 3 times. So
I saw that stat on Saturday night. I'm like, oh man, see, this kid he's next level.
It might have been since a certain year though, because I'm sure Winky probably threw for 303 scores.
Maybe your first 4. It's probably your first 4 ACC games.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done that except Jameis. But what I was going to say is, we'll talk about Miami all week. I did want to go back to the 4th down call because we kind of brushed over that. First off, I want to say it does. I know people were really mad, but it's like, are you really getting that mad about this team this season? You know what you're looking at. Like, this isn't a good team. So it's not like Bowden, screwing up the end of a wide right where you're forced to kick a field goal where you didn't need to with 40 seconds left. You could have gotten closer. You could have tried to score a touchdown. Even if he makes the right decision and punts there, all right, well, you're still a 3-5, 3-6 football team. But that said, I first guessed it too, and I told I was like, why would you be doing this now? You have 8.5 minutes left, and I'm usually all for going for it.
He is, everybody. He is.
But you had already kind of won the drive, was my point. Like, you got the ball at the 2, and you had 3rd and 10 at the 2, and you pick up one of your only 2 third downs of the day is that strike across the middle to Parchment maybe? I can't remember who caught it. But it's a nice throw, nice play. You pick up that first down. You get a couple more. You've already won the drive. You have a chance to flip the field and get the ball back. And if you're allowed, and Mastromanno did have a couple nice punts inside the 5. You might do that. You might down the punt inside the 3-yard line. He might get off a left-footed bomb. Or right-footed. That's the thing about Florida State's punter, everyone. He can do it with either foot.
Never know.
You just don't. Like, NC State fair caught all of them, but he was still rolling to either side just to screw with them. But it wasn't 4th and a yard. He had already eschewed. I think that's how no, that's not how you say it. Eschewed? Either way.
ESCH. Yeah, I know.
Yes, I know how to spell it.
Yeah.
He had by the way, if you only had to get 9 yards for a first down, Florida State would have had 6 more. They literally had 5 4th and 1s. He went for it on 1. I think he punted the other 4. But so he had already punted on some 4th and 1s. So it didn't seem, just in that moment, your defense had been playing well. I think they'd gotten 2 straight or 3 straight stops. The last drive was I think it was the drive where Keir Thomas slammed him to the ground twice.
Yes.
So I felt like your defense was playing well in that moment, and you had already had a good drive to get off your own goal line. So going from the 2 to your own 43 is like a win.
Corey. Stat broadcast had the drive starting at the 1.
So to get out to almost midfield, now if you get a 50-yard punt, well, now NC State's at the 7-yard line with 8 minutes left, and you've got 3 timeouts. So you can even afford to give up a few first downs and still get the ball back with plenty of time to maybe go win the game. You might get the ball back twice. It just seemed like an odd time there to do that. But I wasn't irate with the decision. It didn't seem to jive with how he had been coaching the rest of the game. He punted at least 3 times on 4th and 1. Maybe 4 times in his own territory. Well, this was in his own territory too. And you had already kind of won the drive, I thought, by getting out there where at least NC State's going to have to get 4 or 5 first downs to go win the game. And I thought also, like, all they needed was a first down in that spot or 2, and they're in field goal range. And then you're down by 10 and the game's over either way. It just didn't seem like worth the risk. But at the end of the day, it's like talking about, I can't even think. I'm done with my analogies for the day.
Lean on. You had nothing. There was nothing you could go to the well on in that situation. Like, there wasn't anything you were running. Like, we 4 yards, we can run this. We know we have it. And like, you distilled everything down to that one play. You put the entire game on that one play, and it was a 4th and 4. It wasn't 4th and 1 on the goal line. It wasn't going for 2 with trailing by 1 or to win the game. Like, those situations I get. Like, it's the last play of a game. You just scored a touchdown. You're down by 1. Now go for 2. I understand that kind of stuff. But again, man, to have 8 minutes left on the clock, and this is the thing with the analytics. I understand it's it's kind of proven itself out. It is why it is. It's data. It's probabilities. But it's like a shield, too, though. That's what makes it so frustrating to me is that you can always, well, hey, man, the computer said to do this. The chart said to do this. There's got to be some sort of accountability sometimes to I don't know, veer off of that sort of stuff.
I don't know. Would the chart say to do that? I know the chart probably says to always go for it in fourth and five or less. I can't imagine the probability of winning a game goes up or down very much at all. Going for it there as opposed to punting.
Like a couple of points, I think it went up.
But I mean, you also have to know your team.
Yes.
There's one side of the ball that's playing well at that time. You cannot in the drive before. I think it was the drive before. They had a 2nd and 1 because they had the ball twice, right? Maybe 3 times, with a chance to tie the game. The defense kept giving them a chance to go tie the game, and they had 2nd and 1.
Yeah.
He throws a ball that I think Williamson drops, and then he throws
pokey, it says.
Oh, okay. And then he threw the one to McDonald, which was just a terrible throw.
Correct.
Where he's open. That's a first down. He makes a bad throw.
He tapped himself on the chest, too. He's like, my bad.
But those two were more open, and it was also just 1 yard. And they're open because you only have to get a yard. They do have to kind of factor in the run. That you didn't go for it then.
You're on your own 35, though, man. And that's just to start
but it's 8 yards
quarter.
difference. 8 yards difference? And it's only 1 yard as opposed to 4. I guess there should be a consistency of thought. There were 4 times, at least 3 times, where you punted on 4th and 1. But in the middle of the fourth quarter, when you have 3 timeouts and you're only down a field goal and you've already gone out or a touchdown, you've already gone out 40 yards, it doesn't seem to jive with the way you've been coaching the game because you decide to go for it then when you haven't been going for it all these other times. And he went for it on 4th and 1 in his own territory in the first half, maybe, right? And they barely got it.
They shouldn't even. That one they didn't even get. That one.
Yeah, they got a good spot. But that's what I'm saying. So he did it then. So why didn't he do it in the fourth quarter the first time? It's kind of no rhyme or reason of when he's going to punt and when he's not. And he didn't have a great answer when he was asked about it.
You say that, though, but we weren't surprised that he went for it. I wasn't surprised that he went for
it. I was surprised he went for it because he hadn't gone for many of the other 4th and 1s. And because he had already gotten the ball out to his own 43. You had already flipped. You had gone from your own 1 yard line to, at worst, NC State starting at their own 15 or 10. That's a win with 8 minutes left in a 1-score game. But also, if you pick it up, all right, man, you're going to go down another 50 yards, really? You think that's going to happen? You string together 8 straight passes? But I get it. You're coaching to win. I'm not really mad. I wasn't mad about it all. I was confused by the decision. I don't think it was the right one. I didn't think it was the right one ahead of time, but I understand it. It didn't lose them the game. Heck, that screen pass, instead of going for 43 yards, might have gone for 94. You know what I mean? Nobody was out there to catch that guy. So, they were gonna lose the game anyway, even if he'd punted it. So, what are you gonna do, everyone?
I just don't
By the way,
understand.
shout out to Aslan. Shout out to Aslan for coming out on Friday night and hanging out with Shane and Michelle.
Yeah.
That was big time, buddy.
It was a gross night out. It was like 48 and raining. It was raw out there. It was comfortable in the Midtown offices, but pillars show up. I got to step it up. I'll be back out there Friday too for the pregame, not pregame, but the happy hour at Corner Pocket 5 p.m. with Jeff and Corey. So I think a couple other people. I think Walker from Mississippi is going to be there, maybe.
Oh,
or maybe
all right,
that's
nice.
Quinn.
Yeah.
That's Quinn. I don't know. There's people on the Renegade Express for the pillar poll here.
Hopefully Shane and Michelle come back. They were very, very nice. They're very, very sweet people. They got me a nice present for the Braves. It's one of those bats you can drink out of, like a mug bat, which was really, really nice. And they got Stephanie birthday presents. Oh, also, yeah. So shout out to Stephanie. It's her birthday today.
Aw.
The big 3-0. Can you believe it?
Big 3-0. What are you doing? You guys going to the Pearl Jam concert?
Yeah. We're still the one from 2 years ago that we haven't gotten to see yet. Yeah, that's right. She keeps asking me what I'm gonna get her for her birthday. I'm like, yeah, those Pearl Jam tickets are still in my wallet on my phone, babe. That's your birthday present. That's coming eventually. It's got to. They got to tour again. So yeah, she's the big 3-0, if you can believe it. God bless her, the first lady of Wake Up Warchant.
That is right.
I always made a deal with myself too, Aslan, that I would never date a 30-year-old, and yet here we are.
Here you are.
Yeah.
She's a good one. Keep her around, Corey.
She is. She is a keeper.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go talk to the head football coach and his coordinators. I'm sure it's going to be real fun. We'll also speak to Leonard Hamilton, I think bright and early. So as you're listening to this, it might already be up. So wake up. But But they start their season Wednesday, yes?
Wednesday
Penn?
against Penn. Yep, Wednesday against Penn.
Let's go. Sweet 16? Elite 8?
Or bust. Elite 8 or bust.
Okay, right on. Stay connected to warchant.com. Again, 11:30 is Mike Norvell's press conference. Corey will be transcribing it live on warchant.com. We'll have the replays up for you on the website. And then the Jeff Cameron Show, we'll break it all down for you from 1 to 3 p.m. right on Warchant TV Live or 93.3 FM in Tallahassee. So pick your poison on that. It's Miami week. Let's all come together. Let's all go to Doak and hit the drum. I hope we still have the war drum. Keep it going. Keep it rolling. Thanks for listening. He's Corey Maslon. It's been Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.